Yeah, man. All right, yo. So I just had some ice cream because I was tired as fuck.
What kind of ice cream did you have?
Fucking vanilla, niggas. Got some sprinkles in the cabinet, so a nigga had to get busy. You
Not a
heard?
proper dinner,
I
but
had
ice
I had
cream
steak and
instead.
eggs prior to this, so I don't want to hear that.
Oh, okay. You no, it wasn't no Brussels and bacon this time.
Nah.
Okay.
I try to stay away from the vegetables now.
You on the Angus diet?
Those shits try to kill you. Those shits try to kill you, so I've heard. But then there's other niggas that say fruit ain't good for you. So at this point, I don't really know what to believe.
Who says fruit isn't good for you? We might have to. This might have to be a health podcast. Low key. Where did that
So
come
when
from?
I was working at Char, and that nigga, I told you he was on his diet or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he was like, "Oh, fruit's not good because
Let me
it's
set my
sugar."
timer. Go
And
ahead.
then no, carbs turn into sugar, and sugar
This
isn't
sounds like
good.
a lot of bullshit.
So
I ain't
so
gonna
apparently
hold.
apparently what happens is the reason why they say that red meat is bad for you is not
Yeah.
because of the red meat itself, but
Mm-hmm.
because I guess of what you pair it with. So if you put like sugar in your body, so like you know how they say fat is bad because like you get clocks and shit.
Yeah.
Apparently it's because of the fact that like the sugar in your system clings to like the walls of your bloodstream, so then it makes things harder to travel through.
Okay.
So then it's like, all right, so and because carbs turn into sugar, carbs are like equivalent. So basically, fruit isn't like a banana is bad for you. Apparently, that's what that nigga was saying. But he on a keto diet. That's what that keto shit is called. But I'm starting to side with the side that fruit is good for you and that veggies are bad. And I don't want to really say it like that, but the dude that be promoting it, he be like, yo, he be coming up with some valid points. I can't really argue it too much. But overall,
I can send me clips.
he said, okay, all right.
Yeah,
But he said, because plants over time, as organisms, they don't have a defense mechanism, so they develop toxins within themselves to prevent predators from eating them.
Okay.
Yeah, but his shit say MD on it on YouTube, so
I don't care what it say. I don't care what
I
it
still
say.
I still eat the Brussels because sometimes I need something, and I'm not having like a bowl of different fruits. So you got me fucked up on that. I'm not really gonna entertain a bowl of fruit, but like with steak and shit. But the eggs is good. The eggs is good. I didn't have
I
any.
love eggs.
Yeah, I
I
have
like
four.
them. Yeah.
Have 4 eggs and a piece of strip.
Oh, you trying to get big, big? You
I
trying to look
mean,
like David West? I mean, you don't look like that now, but I
David
see.
West.
Yeah.
That
Deep
was
pull.
the most random ass nigga to pull up right now.
Deep pull.
David fucking West.
Golden State Warriors legend David West.
I thought Indiana Pacers, but okay.
Also,
I know him for the Hibbert days in PG when he wasn't in MVP or number one, whatever the fuck we was talking about the other day.
he was giving Bron everything he could handle though during Bron's prime. Right? Didn't win, but when you play at the same time as like a legend, right? You're gonna miss out on opportunities, right? Like PG, Derrick Rose, DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Same thing as Jordan, right? Barkley, Ewing, all these guys who didn't win because you're playing at the same time.
So we started off with the same conversation.
We don't have to start off with that. Let's talk about the playoffs.
No, it's fine.
Can we talk about the playoffs? I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. We can talk about the playoffs instead. Because all you're going to do is piss me off anyway.
I'm gonna start off. So this is off the bounce. We're just gonna call it off the bounce. I'm gonna take my LLC and just put it in. This is off the bounce. Brought to you by New Era.
LLC. This boy got money.
Brought to you by New Era.
Whoa, New Era going to sue
Poland
us right
Spring.
away. Episode 0, you're going to get sued.
And Poland Spring. You know what I'm saying? We don't have Saratoga, but I'm going to the grocery store tomorrow. So
shout out to Ashton Hall.
When they fuck that nigga.
Before we get started though, I would be remiss to begin a basketball conversation without giving honor and glory to Greg Popovich, who you laughing, but I'm dead ass. You laughing, but I'm dead ass. But I'm not going to sit here, like, I haven't done a pod in a long time. I'm not going to sit here and do anything without acknowledging the contribution that Greg Popovich gave to the game. You laughing like
you don't know why I'm laughing.
You such an unserious motherfucker.
No, it's because I saw him on Instagram.
That's why
in the press conference, and I'm like, yo,
he had the El Jefe shirt on.
But I
just want to take a moment to give glory to his contribution. Why are you laughing? Why is it funny to you?
Because I'm an asshole. Because I'm a piece.
I'm trying to have a moment here. We're trying to give glory to his contributions to the game. So shout out to Greg Popovich. He was monumental in building the basketball fandom and the fabric of the NBA that we grew up in now, like those Spurs teams of the late 90s, early 2000s, and so on and so forth. We just need to take a pause for that. Some people may laugh at it, but I don't think it's funny. We are going to appreciate that. And that's all. I just wanted to shout out Greg Popovich.
Yeah, shout out my nigga Mitch Johnson, bro. We've been trying to get this
You didn't even know who Mitch Johnson was before today.
Yeah, I
like
looked
10
at him,
a.m.
I said, damn, that nigga's 26 and running the Spurs. That's crazy as hell. And then I looked at he's 38. I was like, oh,
but the
shit.
Spurs are very intentional. They're a very intentional organization, unlike a couple of organizations that we will discuss today.
So that's a great segue, honestly, because I mean the Rockets about to fuck this whole shit up
Here
this
we go.
offseason. So recap of the game.
Sure.
Buddy Hield had one great game of his whole career, so congratulations.
He's had one great game. Okay, let's talk about Buddy Hield real quick. Let's talk about Buddy Hield real quick. Okay, so they bring him over, right? Essentially because Klay
they
Thompson
hated that nigga too.
Because Klay Thompson is no longer the player that he once was. However, Buddy came over and it looked like a perfect fit at first. Mm-hmm. Then, it's been an up and down season for him consistency wise. But then to have a game like he had in a closeout game, where they're doubling Steph. Like he catches the ball, one dribble, two dribbles, immediate double. Somebody's got to be the relief. And he was that. And he did step up in that moment. So we're not going to knock Buddy Hield. What we will knock is the Houston Rockets. And what we have to discuss, I think, first off, is what do you do with Jalen Green? Are you trading him?
I'm getting rid of that nigga, yo.
So outside of game 2, he had 38? Outside of game 2, he averaged 9 points for the series. 9. Okay, so it's just like, and
like less than 10 shots a game.
So it's
but, I'll get into that because that was my problem, but
And I'm not here to tear down guys who don't have a great series. It is a young team, X, Y, Z. However, what I'm seeing today is it really Amen Thompson's team?
Nah, Amen Thompson, that nigga's hard.
Is it really his team? And then if it is his team, do you trade Jalen Green? And I guess my question for people who are saying to trade Jalen Green today, why? Why and for what and for who?
What it sounds like is we're not even going to recap this game. We're going to recap the aftermath of where these teams are about to go. You got too many guys on this roster. They're in the lottery. So they're about to pick up another bright young prospect. But going back to what they have, you got to get rid of Jalen Green, in my opinion, because I'm not letting go of Van Vliet. And he's on it. See, the problem with the Rockets is now Şengün's about to pull up with a $34 million contract next year. Oh. And you got a team option on Fred Van Vliet for $45 million.
Golly. and that's a lot of money, man.
That's a lot of money.
Go ahead.
And he 5'10", which is scary. But to think that he was probably their best offensive player this whole series, damn near, besides Alfred Şengün. And last night he was the only one with more than one 3-pointer, and he shot 50% on 3 of 6. So for me, with 17 points, I'm not saying that, and he's not a minus defender either for his size, in my opinion.
Sure.
So, I mean, granted, he could be a liability if they're playing somebody else. I think that can exploit it more. But when you're playing a small Warriors team, it's not really going to show up. But I think with Jalen Green, my problem with Jalen Green is that he's looked to be the star perimeter player on this team. And It's not Amen Thompson, because Amen Thompson is not an offensive player like that. And he more so gets his offense through his defense.
Yes.
And we saw that even yesterday in the third quarter, because pretty much he's just coming down off a board, off a pick, and he's gonna.
Did you see that behind the back to the reverse?
Oh yeah. So now the only thing he need to do is get a jump shot. If he get a fucking jump shot, I'm sorry, but he should be top 5 player in the league off that alone.
Top 5.
Oh yeah. Oh what? If he hit a jumper, he
little fun exercise. Let's flash forward 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the top 5 players in the league? Wemby is 1.
Wemby is 1.
Right? Wemby is like Wemby.
Anthony Edwards is going to be in that conversation.
Anthony Edwards.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Right. There's no room for him in the top 5. My point. That's my point.
But when you that good at defense, though, who in the top 5 is that good of a defensive player? I mean, Wemby. Okay, you said Wemby, but that's going to be
who's going to be defensive player of the year for the next decade?
Ain't going to be top. Ant might be good, but he's not the same type of defender that Amen Thompson is. Like, in the sense that I feel like there's a difference between being an on-ball defender and then a stat stuff and defender.
Sure.
I feel like he does both. Like, Amen Thompson could stat stuff. We're getting steals, blocks, but then he's also going to be a guy that you just stick him on a guy like Steph Curry, and he's not going like he probably not going to be. He could probably guard like a Luka, but kind of what we were going back to like last year, how Ant should be guarding Luka instead of Kyrie. Like I'm not
Sure.
gonna put him on a thick ass guard necessarily. But like if you got a guy like Steph or like these
Yeah.
little dudes that like to run,
Yeah.
that is the perfect guy to put him on. So I mean, I had to say though, them two guys for two brothers in their second year, just as a side note, to have to guard the guards that they had to in this first round, even though they both got bounced out. That's crazy.
One of them literally got bounced out, but
hey,
look, man. Look,
it
is what it is.
I'm wearing a Lakers hat, but
yeah, look, it is what it is.
Best guard in the league.
That's
man.
a tough stick. You know what I
Best point
mean?
guard
Like
in
he
the world.
comes off the screen, reverse, reverse cross drag. It's very hard. It is what it is.
Come off the screen. My bad. I thought we was talking about the drop off still.
No,
Yeah. No, so I'm just saying, like, so when you got all these guys on this roster, so if I look at this roster, you got Van Vliet, Dylan Brooks, Steven Adams, which he's going to be a free agent, and you're going to want to pick him back up because I think in a league like this, where it's a struggle to have two solid bigs, especially one that can come off the floor, and then the fact that they had success playing both of them at the same time.
Yep.
Minnesota's one, they got a trifecta though. It's hard to find a guy like Jokic. They struggle to find a guy that's going to back him up. Even give like a solid 8-10 minutes of a game to back him up. So you have to bring him back, in my opinion. Jabari Smith Jr., he got a team option for $12 million. You keep him. I feel like you keep him over Jalen Green, but I only feel like that's because of the size, and I don't know how high his ceiling is necessarily. But the only thing that I'm disappointed with Jalen Green, and granted, you can just play the route of staying still and see what he tries to do next year. But if you're going to be a guy in the playoffs, he had to take 20 shots a game. And he was not taking nearly 20 shots a game. I feel like if you're going to be looked upon as the guy to be your star, because he's looked at to be the star, let's not lie, on offense, because, I mean, Şengün is cool.
Is he their third option?
No. I feel like they don't want him to be his third option. I feel like he is the third option, but they don't want that. They don't want that. They honestly want him to be the first. They would love for him to be the first, but I don't think he's a first in this league. I think he's too small of a two guard.
Is he Bradley Beal? Is that the trajectory? Like, is he going to score a bunch of points sometimes and it like never translate to wins? Yeah, are we assigning that to him at this early stage in his career?
I would kind of say so. I feel like I don't see him being a winner right now. I don't think he's impactful enough on defense, and on offense. It like you gotta, again, it goes back to you gotta want it. Like Donovan Mitchell without Darius Garland, whether it was the right philosophy or not, and more so, I don't think it's the wrong one. I think Ty Jerome just shot too many shots in that game.
So Donovan Mitchell shot 30 times last night, I'm pretty sure.
No.
30 times for 33. We'll talk about that in a second, but
I'm just saying, like, there comes like Jalen Brunson. Okay, my bad. Jalen Brunson. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
We see that there's games where when he doesn't get the other guys involved, which I think they play better when he does that off the rip. If he can get them going off the rip, knowing that he at any time can get it going, especially if he's having a bad game, he could just come out in the fourth quarter and it doesn't look the same as it did for the past 3 quarters. So I think it's important for him to get everybody else going. But at the same time, you see, like, all right, game 6, he went in there and he going to shoot as many shots as he has to. He's going to go get a 40 ball and he's going to walk them out of that arena. No problem. Like, I feel like if you're Jalen Green, you can't get down on yourself and start like he playing within the offense too much. But I feel like when I see him on the right wing with Steph Curry and he got a wide open to the baseline, bro, you gotta take that. Like, you gotta attack that. I'm sorry, but like Steph not gonna do. He can't hang with him. Like I've seen him dribble and move. There's no way in the world, like, unless you just not that confident, which he's giving me the vibes that he's just not that confident, bro. You have to take that shit. And it's like you gonna shoot 9. He didn't even shoot 10 times. Dylan Brooks shot more. Dylan Brooks shot 9. He shot 8. But it's like, how is Dylan Brooks getting off more shots than you? There's no world where that should be a thing. He got to shoot 20 shots. I don't care if he makes 5 of them.
How old is Jalen Green? 23?
Yeah, let's say 23.
Let's call it 23. He's in his early 20s. And, like, I just caution people who want to put Jalen Green on an airplane today about how long it takes for the average player to become a winner in this league. We are spoiled by the stars, right? LeBron, impactful right away. Mike, impactful right away. But what about Kobe, who sat on the bench first? Like, will Jalen Green be a Hall of Famer? I don't know. But, like, he did score 38 in game 2. He did score 38 in game 2.
1 out of 7 games though.
I understand that. I do. I get it. The criticism,
like he should have at least 3 or 4
Sure.
double digit point games.
Look, I said it. He averaged 9 outside of game 2. That's unacceptable. I'll be the last because I'm not averaging 9. I'm just saying though, we have to be careful. This is the best team he's played on.
Mhm.
This is the best the Rockets have been since the James Harden years. And it takes time to develop chemistry and for these teams to build continuity in order to go into the future. If you panic now and it's just like, let's just get rid of this guy. Very rarely in the league, when you give up a guy of that type of ceiling, do you get equal value back. So if you're going to do that, then that means that you're telling me that Amen Thompson is going to be, or has the potential to be, the best player on a championship team. And if that's what you're telling me, fine, I disagree with it. I don't think him or Sengun have the ability to be the best player on a championship team.
Green got it either.
That's fair. That's fair. But then
out of those 3 guys, how you won't list them in the sense of like who's most capable of that role though?
I think the highest ceiling is still Jalen Green. That's the thing. I think when did Sengun get 38?
No, I'm talking about
when did Sengun get 38?
I'm not worried about Sengun. I don't think he's going to be a number 1 guy. I think he could be a number 2 in the sense that he.
I love the Thompson twins,
but I think the only problem that holds me back from being so hell bent on him is if he came back next year, started shooting like 36 from 3 or some shit like that, I could be like, all right, because that shows growth for me. So if he come back and he starts shooting jumpers next year, then I'll be like, all right. But I'm saying like we talking about hypothetical. But I like the only difference is with his, it's super hypothetical because we haven't even seen a glimpse of what that looks like. So if I saw a glimpse of him taking jump shots, then I'd be like, oh yeah, no, it's curtains. Like, because he already got the defense. I feel like it's the hardest part because not everybody is just built to do that shit. So it's like he's already built to do that side of the ball, which means he's gonna play in the league regardless. Because he just like what you always say in high school, play defense, you get on the court.
There's always a spot for you.
Yeah, and it's like he's so damn good at it, and he's so good at cutting and doing all the things. Like
he does all those intangibles.
Yeah, he's basically a skinnier Aaron Gordon on offense. I got he's like a skinnier Aaron Gordon on offense. Like if he played with Jokic, that shit is crazy.
Yeah,
like if he played with it, and that's what Sengun is supposed to be, I guess. Like you know
he's
what I mean?
Sabonis light.
Yeah.
I'll call it that.
Yeah, you don't like that dude.
He's Sabonis light.
You don't like that dude.
I don't like. I like his game. I don't like, bro. I don't like fake tough guys.
Yeah, but I had to be honest, bro. He wasn't backing down shit yesterday. He got a, and some of his moves is gross.
Well, yeah, that is an issue that I have. Like, I do believe that we are at the end of the small ball era, and for a team like them, the Rockets, and like Alperen Sengun, you're supposed to be one of the premier big men in the league. Why on earth is Draymond guarding you and you're not dominating in the paint? Why is that the case?
They don't feed these guys like they used to.
You know, we've watched you know, like, so it's just like I'm not gonna sit here and do the you gotta be like the 90s, you gotta put people underneath the rim and X, Y, and Z. But however, when you have a size advantage, a decided size advantage, you need to take advantage of that. We just watched the Lakers lose for that same reason.
Mm-hmm.
So to not be able to take advantage of the fact that the Golden State Warriors, and I think this will ultimately be their undoing, is the fact that they don't have a true center that they can play that can defend an elite big. I love Draymond. I think he's having one of the most impressive defensive seasons I've seen. But at the end of the day, there's a size limitation there. And Houston, to me, just didn't take advantage of that. I don't know if it's unwillingness or not being capable of doing it. You know, maybe Alperen Sengun isn't that guy, but he needs to add that to his game. Like when you have a size advantage, you need to be able to take advantage of it. And they did not. They let the Warriors get away with playing Draymond, not forcing them to play Quentin Postmore, who's also not a defender. He's a cone. But they just simply did not take advantage of it.
They packed the paint too much out the zone last night, but at the same time, like there was times where you on the block, and if he makes a move quick enough, he could get a bucket. So I'm just like, I don't know. But we go to Golden State, but to finish off the offseason Rocket plans, I just think there's nothing wrong with staying put. considering that they probably can. I think the payroll is going to be a lot, but I mean, when you had a young team and you had the
Van Vliet is a team option.
Is a team option, but according to source or whatever,
will he take a cut?
According to source, like, you know, there's not really too much of a market, apparently, quote unquote, for him, which I don't know how true that is because I'm not looking at everybody else.
I'm inclined to believe that. What's the market for a 5'10" point guard?
So if you drop him out of a $45 million, you get him somewhere around 3 for $90. So that's like on a 30 or so for a year.
Yep.
That I feel like for him, even like to shit, I'll tell you right now, these motherfuckers be greedy because I'm taking $30 million every fucking year. Like, if I'm him,
well, and then you get more years too, right? Because like we do the team option for 1 year, and then you might be out the league.
That's what I'm saying.
We want to give you
42 this year. Like, bro, I just made $42 million. I mean, in Texas, they don't tax shit, I'm pretty sure. So like, that's a clean 40 million. I'm taking that 30 every single year. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. These dudes be stupid trying to fucking hoard all this damn money.
Hey, look, I mean, it just really comes down to
he's a proven guy.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have no problem with people taking money. You want to take money, take money. However, there's a balance, right? LeBron's gonna have to make that decision. Do you want to win? You know what I mean? Do you want to win? I don't think LeBron's taking a cut either.
He don't care about us.
Hey, look, he doesn't have to. Look, get your money for your family. Get generationally set. All these guys are generationally set. But look, make as much as you can, right? Take care of your grandkids, take care of your grandkids. You know what I mean? Your family will never be broke. However, if you want to win, there's adjustments that need to be made.
But if they go and trade for somebody, I'm cool if they do it if they find somebody that's on the timeline of them. Like, I don't like the Kevin Durant sweepstakes for him. Let's say you ship out Jalen Green, somebody, whatever, right?
It's like Jalen Green, Reed Shepard, and a pick or some shit like that, right? So,
well, they probably gonna have to get out more money. So let's say like Dylan Brooks or some shit like that, like or I don't know, somebody that got a big contract that I look at here. I got Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith, but I like Jabari Smith because as a 4-man, he's big, long, lanky, and like I just think that like with the shots selection, like I saw him shoot threes yesterday and he didn't give a fuck. But I don't think Kevin Durant with Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Alfred Singh, I don't think that's not gonna win a championship.
That doesn't move my soul at all.
No. So, but one that I do like is Devin Booker. But the problem is Phoenix is not going to give him up. Now, if you swap out Devin Booker for Jalen Green, I'm not saying they're going to be a championship contender.
Good,
but I still think that's an upgrade.
How much of an upgrade is it? It is an upgrade, but how much? How much better is Devin Booker?
It's not winning them a championship, but what I would say is that we seen him be a number one option on a team that made it to the NBA Finals. Granted, the league is not like all the teams are not the same, but if you told me that I had Devin Booker last night over Jalen Green, I feel like they had a better chance to win that game for sure. Because I know he's at least going to take the shots. He's going to take outside shots, which is what they need. So I think it's a better fit, but I don't even know Devin Booker is going to be the one on a championship team either. I mean, I think that year in Phoenix he could have done it, but he also has Chris Paul who makes everybody around him better. Yeah. And I think VanVleet is kind of in a way like that, but not in the same way.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he could run the team. Yeah, he could run the team.
But he's not Chris Paul. But I just, for example, I'm just giving an example of a better fit that I would like for them to pick up. I think KD is more of a game changer in the sense of like talent wise, but when you're like 36 years old or 37, that's a problem.
Yeah, and it's just like, are you selling, or are you going to give away your right arm and everything but the kitchen sink for a guy where you're going to get how many elite years does KD have left? 1 or 2? Like I don't know if I want to sacrifice all of my resources to get 2 years of this guy where you'll win games for sure. Mm-hmm. But you won't win the championship, in my opinion. And then when he retires, what do you do then?
And then I don't like the Giannis one because I don't think he's a good fit for them. They already don't shoot the ball. You're going to tell me that my number one superstar don't shoot the goddamn ball?
Hey, look, the one thing I'll say about Giannis,
unless you're going to trade Sengun.
Look,
you trade Sengun for him?
I don't know what you do, but if you have a chance to get Giannis, I don't care who you are, you get him. So that's an MVP candidate. I don't care what the fit is.
So I don't care what the fit is. Getting rid of. Are you getting rid of Sengun?
I'm getting rid of whoever needs to be gotten rid of.
But if you had to orchestrate it and you saying, all right, we're gonna get Giannis back, and you could kind of pick who you're giving away, are you gonna keep Sengun or are you gonna get rid of him?
Do I believe that Sengun is gonna eventually be able to be at least competent from 3? If I do, I keep him. That's a talented player. If I have to get rid of him to get Giannis, I do that.
because we talking about how bigs are kind of more important now because
Sure.
also the rarity of them,
Yep.
right? Like everybody can get a good guard or a good enough guard,
And that's why I would hesitate to give him a way to get Giannis, because I get what you're saying.
because fuck it, you're not trying to win the first year anyway. So you like let's see how this
Let's
works
see if it works.
Yeah, throughout the
and then like if
season,
not, you can move him or whatever. But like it's just like I really hesitate to give away talent just for the sake of quote unquote basketball fit. I mean, we'll figure that out, right? Like, it's Giannis, right? And if it doesn't work, then like you move him later. But like when if you get to keep a player like Sengun, who's a special passer for sure, he's gonna have to get stronger. But like when you pair a guy like that with Giannis, it can work. And if it doesn't, then you move him. But like you do whatever you need to do to get a guy like Giannis in the building. That's a perennial MVP candidate.
So, moral of the story is Houston, just stay in place because honestly, you don't know what's going to go on with any of these guys. So why make a move anyway? If you
I just don't know if you hit
unless they offer Giannis.
Yeah,
bring that nigga.
Unless it's Giannis, you know what I mean. Like you get a chance to get like an MVP level guy or whatever, you go ahead and do it. But
like
otherwise,
a true number.
Yeah,
like
but otherwise,
still be a top 5 for the next. We talk about 5 years. He's probably gonna be in there for 5 more years.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's just like otherwise I don't think you just hit the panic button. Like they lost to the Warriors, right? And like yes, the Warriors were the 7th seed. However, we've discussed this post trade. That's not a real 7th seed. So like Golden State, even though technically they're a 7th seed, that's 3 Hall of Famers. Like I've been texting you all week, and like I told you, they're gonna figure it out.
Are they gonna figure it out in this next series?
No. Golden State's issue again is, and this is going to be my theory going forward, I really do think we've seen the end of the small ball era. I think Golden State is going to be a tough out, but I also don't think you can win in today's league when Draymond Green is playing the majority of your center minutes. You're just going to run into somebody who you're not going to be able to control that. At some point in time, you're going to run into an elite big, and you have to be able to defend that. Now, the Warriors got away with it in round 1. I don't know how much longer they can keep getting away with that, though.
6?
Yeah. Because eventually, you're just going to have
not 5, problems. It's 6.
6. I mean, because Curry's still that guy, right? Curry's still that guy. So you have to allow him, like, some guys are like, I like to say 5-game series a lot. Like, right. I think it's going to be, we'll talk about the Celtics and Knicks in a minute, but.
Oh shit.
I think
they playing, by the way, right now. That's pissing me off.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. But like, I think that's a sweep. Celtics might be up 20 right now as we speak. I don't know. But at the same time, like you have to allow a game, right? You have to allow a game like with the Magic, right? Like
it's only 4 or 5. Celtics over.
Yeah, like they let their foot off the gas or whatever, and it's just like so. Like with Golden State, I like to give them 2 games, like 2 nuclear stuff Curry games or whatever. But
hey yo, I'm gonna start tipping my hat for that nigga in Minnesota, bro. Yeah.
Anthony Edwards.
Hey,
where are they going?
Huh?
How far do they go?
Well, it's definitely at least conference finals. I want to say finals, low key. I kind of want to say the finals. I only say that because I'm not even sold that OKC is going to beat Denver. Only because, like, Denver, bro, like, they just beat out the Clippers in 7 games. And, like, I watched that. Like, they just are, like, they've been there. And OKC got the paper matchup against a lot of teams in the league, but my problem with them is like it's always like one of those where they gotta prove it.
They gotta show it to you.
They gotta show it to me, and they haven't shown it to me when it matters. Like, all right, yeah, you win 60 games in the regular seasons, like back-to-back years. Your guys talked about as MVP when in reality, I don't want to say it like. And I think this has got to be my notion going forward. When we talk about MVP and they say most valuable, I don't think he's the most valuable player. Like if you take Jokic off that Denver team, that motherfuckers is sitting at the bottom of the West. They worse than the Jazz. I don't even want Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. That is worse. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but they bottom 5 in the West. No even questions. Maybe bottom 3. They 12 through 15 without Nikola Jokic. You say Shai Gilgeous off that team, these motherfuckers in the play-in at a minimum. I'm just saying, like like the talent that they have on that roster, they're at and granted he's the catalyst and he's their fallback.
Yeah.
But I just don't. When you talk about most valuable, and I'm not. And years ago, I used to be the Jokic hater. So for me to come around and now be sitting here in 2025 is like, yo, I really do think that like they could do it. Now, granted, they coming off of 7 games, they gonna have to play with 1 day break. Sometimes that works in your favor. So I think honestly, and it's in OKC, I would say that Denver might pick off game 1. They have a chance. I think the odds can be really skewed in their favor just because they've been sitting at home for too long. And Nikola Jokic, as much as I think he wants to go play with his horses, that nigga wants to play ball for some reason.
Hey, look, man, that's what I'm saying. He keeps showing up to work.
But Anthony Edwards, I know he could take out Denver. So I'm like, if Denver wins, yeah, Anthony Edwards is going to the final. But if he has to play Oklahoma City, honestly, I think that's the most funnest series to go on. Like, low key, like as those two teams play, I think because Minnesota's so good, especially off the bench. Like they're like you play 8 guys in the playoffs, and Walker Alexander, DiVincenzo, and Naz Reid, like they have versatility. Like they have the backup big, so you could check that shit off. And then it's like Devo. I like Devo because he's just an energy guy. He hasn't really had a hot game in the playoffs, like where it's like, oh, he like with the Knicks. I think his role is just not as big. And
but he's played well, I think, and he like this has been the playoffs, and I'll let you finish. But this has been the playoffs of like having really important deep bench guys, right? Like Al Horford has played well for the Celtics. Naz Reid and DiVincenzo have played well for the Timberwolves. Ty Jerome, is well documented what he did in the regular season. It's continued with Cleveland. Peyton Pritchard in Boston, the whole 9 yards. So like you have to have a continuity of offense when your stars sit. Yeah. And that's really like the major issue for a lot of teams that either fell short or didn't make the playoffs at all. You've got to keep the offense going. That was Golden State's problem, right? Like when Curry sits, how are we going to generate points? They solved that problem. Now you got Jimmy, and also Jimmy's going to get to the line. That's
not enough.
So it's just like, look, I agree with you.
So where do they go from here then? Because we're both sold on the Timberwolves, and we know why. It's just the matchup is going to be too overwhelming, and they got home court. And like generally, I think like depending on the matchup, it wouldn't matter. Like the Houston matchup didn't matter. But against Minnesota, like them motherfuckers care out there in Minnesota. Like and Anthony Edwards is not going to shine for them. He's not going to have a bad series.
No.
And he's not going to have a bad series. He might have one game where he don't shoot optimally, but he's
gonna play. He's gonna show up.
He's learned at this point from his mistakes, especially last year, and he cleaned that shit up quick. 5 games in the first round, and I think he has the potential to clean this shit up quick in 5 games. So if he does that without having to play a serious 7-game series and something that maybe dials him back, his conditioning and stuff. Yeah. Even though I think he's overcome that a little bit probably from last year because he just doesn't show me the guy that like, oh, I'm just going to stay stagnant. He seems to want to take a leap every single year. So where does Golden State go from here? Is it over?
If you're Golden State, right, like a team like that, you're in permanent win now mode until Steph Curry retires, right? You're going to keep him until he retires. So there's really nothing to do except to just try to put the best product out there you can with the guys that you have. They may not win another title. However, you have Steph. He's still playing well right now, so you just have to optimize around him. Now, next year, they're going to need to pick them and the Lakers. You need somebody who matters in like down low. Quentin Post is a good player, though, by the way. He's an elite 3-point shooter. He gives them a different look offensively. They have nothing defensively outside of Draymond to defend the rim.
Well, Kevon Looney did good last night, so I think you keep him and keep, I guess, your man's Quentin Post, your new guy. QP.
I say that's my man's, but like, you know what I mean? But like,
QP.
He gives them a different look.
No. Yeah, but like, they need a starting big. Like these are great guys that they're gonna come in and fill in off the bench and give you the different looks.
Draymond cannot be playing major minutes for you at center next year.
No.
Or going forward at all.
I hate how like when it comes to like a serious ass game, now he wants to shoot threes and act like he's good at that.
He was hitting last night. He was his first 2. He's feeling good last night.
You don't do this shit. Like you haven't done this shit since 2015.
But that's the perfect example of a guy like, and Rondo is kind of like the same way. Like they don't do it until it's time to do it.
Fuck that shit.
Right? And then like they go and do it. And like what I respect about guys like Dre and Rondo and stuff like that, like You gonna say even Russell Westbrook, right? Like they sagged off of Russell Westbrook all series. He shot
he
shot 40%. He shot 40%. You gotta shoot. You gotta shoot.
But see,
right?
again, it goes to that, like, oh, they not fearless. Like, when they have to, they going. But, Draymond for the first 6 games, he's going to be like,
but when it's time, my boy was pulling. No hesitation. That ugly behind backpack jumper, but it was going in last night. And it's just like, if he's hitting.
He got that hunchback.
Yeah, he's like, I mean,
pushing that
like
shit
a shot put. But it's just like,
Sean Marion, welcome back.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if you go on, like, even if he wasn't hitting, right, it's just the threat of shooting it. It makes the defense respect it. And like, even if he doesn't shoot elite the whole series, something like last night, right, like he hit his first 2. You're gonna think about that the rest of the game. You're gonna have to respect that, at least being a threat at all times, like, and you have to punish the defense, because like you have to, like, especially when you get to this level of basketball, you have to give up something. You have to let something ride. And like, the whole key is whatever the other team is giving you, you got to make them pay for it. And that's really what the whole chess match comes down to. And they left Draymond alone last night, and he made them pay for it early. Steph didn't even have any points in the first half, I don't think.
No, he hit like a 3.
He hit that one. He hit like a long period or whatever.
Count.
But it's just like, so like, you're 24 minutes into the game, Steph's not even really, a part of it, like, at least from a scoring perspective, but they're okay anyway, because they had that depth to make up for it, and Draymond was playing out of his body, at least offensively last night. But like, again, eventually, if you don't have a if you cannot protect the rim, you can't win.
Yeah, don't matter. They ain't winning shit.
Yeah, you can't win. That's the problem.
So, before the East, Denver or Oklahoma City?
Nice series here. Homecoming for Russell Westbrook. A lot of history, obviously, between him and Oklahoma City. I mean,
nobody care about that shit.
Obviously,
ain't no tribute videos in the playoffs.
Like, obviously, OKC. No, it's not time yet. Oh. So like, it's Dave calling me, actually. Obviously,
shout out Dave,
yo. Honestly, obviously, shout out Dave, man. If you know, you know. But
y'all don't want to know.
obviously, OKC is going to be favored. I think it's a long series. I do think OKC ends up winning. But the X factor, not to beat it down to the ground, is Russell Westbrook. If he's good,
I thought you were gonna say Nikola Jokic. Okay.
Nah, I think he's gonna Nikola Jokic is gonna average a triple-double. He's gonna do all he needs to do.
I feel like they're just not deep enough though. Now, when we talk about bench depth, like Oklahoma's bench depth is ridiculous. I think, especially in comparison to Denver, like they're gonna have guys that are gonna run and run. Like Denver ran for that last game in Game 7, but they're not gonna want to do that shit to win 4 times. Oklahoma can do that shit.
And then
like after Russell Westbrook, I don't really even know who the fuck they got coming on that.
Yeah. OKC is one of the deepest teams in the league. That's why it's hard to count them out. I'm gonna go with OKC in 6.
Yeah. I think that's good.
I'm gonna go with OKC in 6 for that reason. But if we're sitting here talking, 2 weeks from now, and Denver 1-7, I wouldn't be surprised. I've always said it. Like, when it comes down to it, who's the best player on the floor? That is Nikola Jokic. It just is. In every game that they're going to play in, he is still the best player on the floor. So as long as that remains the case, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Denver has no shot. OKC in 5. It's because like, he's so special, and he makes the people around him so much better that you could just never discount it. So, and just the type of shots that he hits when he gets hot too. So now you got to worry about a guy who's like 35, 17, and 14, or like a bunch of ridiculous stat lines like that. Like, his ceiling is higher than everybody else's on the floor. So that being said, if he has a hot series now.
So it's like Curry, you kind of give him 2 games.
Yeah, look, you give him 2 games and whatnot. I do think
Jamal Murray close.
I do think that OKC has the defensive personnel.
They gonna fuck him up.
Yeah,
bro.
I do think
they gonna make him mad. He gonna throw a heating pad back out on the floor. Yeah, and I don't want to get too ahead and think like, all right, Western Conference Finals, because we're not even there yet. So looks like Oklahoma City, Minnesota are gonna go to the conference finals, and then Ant-Man's gonna go to the finals. But anyway, Eastern Conference.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about that more as it gets closer. We'll revisit
Yeah, we ain't
that.
gonna talk about the
We'll
Knicks
revisit that.
and the Celtics right now, even though the Knicks are down 4 with about 30 seconds left in the first. All right. 50 seconds. Yesterday, I ain't gonna hold you. I took a fucking nap during the Cavs and Pacers game. I don't know why I was so tired, but I fell asleep during that shit. And I fell asleep on my stomach. My jaw was so fucked up when I woke up in the third quarter. I was pissed too. Evan Mobley, not enough. They gotta put him more into the offense. I feel like that. I'm just saying. Ty Jerome had like 17 shots yesterday, and Evan Mobley I only think shot 10 times.
Well, Garland didn't play.
And by the way, he don't shoot that shit well. He gotta stop shooting them threes. That shit looks.
He was hitting during the regular season. That's a big part of why they won so many games this season.
Mm-hmm.
So Evan Mobley, I mean, you could check the stats or whatever, pull up his basketball reference, but like there was a noticeable.
I give a fuck about it yesterday.
Whatever, but there was a noticeable increase in both volume and accuracy of his 3-pointers this season.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not discount. Darius Garland did not play last night. He was dealing with that big toe injury, so it's just Donovan Mitchell.
Over that shit.
Huh?
I say you need to get over that shit.
Whatever. But so it's just Donovan Mitchell. And look, Donovan Mitchell, to me last night, he's a superstar in this league. He did what he could. He shot a gajillion times. But the defensive issues was the point. I think the Pacers made 19 threes last night on like some ridiculous amount, percent. I don't remember.
Yeah, they're not going to do that again. They shot over 50%.
That's what I think. It's like 53%. Yeah, I think it's like 19. I think they hit 19 for 53% or whatever. That's probably not going to happen again. And like what you're dealing with this series and why, I like Halliburton and I like the Pacers. I think the Pacers lose this series.
Forgot about this motherfucker as we started talking about this.
I think the Pacers lose this series still though. I think they lose this series because Cleveland last series they had the greatest offensive 4-game run in NBA playoff history. And the Pacers were pretty close to that as well. However, I feel like Cleveland will win this series because they have more defensive options than what the Pacers do. So like assuming Garland, that's an issue. The Garland thing is an issue.
You think wait, defensive he's not a defender. I'm confused.
I'm saying the Pacers. I'm saying Cleveland in general has more defensive options than what the Pacers do. So Cleveland, right? They have those twin towers down there, right? So the Pacers just dealt with Milwaukee, right? So when they dealt with Milwaukee, Halliburton's coming down. We're gonna force Giannis into the switch. If I beat Giannis off the dribble, nobody's waiting by the rim. You cannot do that to Cleveland. You beat Evan Mobley off the dribble, Jared Allen waiting for you. Same vice versa. So there's just more defensive versatility there. That's going to be a lot harder to get. And like the Pacers like to push the pace, right? Like we're getting rebound. We're getting a rebound. Yeah, we're getting a rebound and we out. Like
Andrew Nembhard for some reason is a fucking all-star in the playoffs. I don't understand that shit.
Yeah, like we get it. Like we get the rebound. Boom, we're in transition. We're out. But like it's not going to be as easy to do that to Cleveland given their defensive personnel. You're not just going to get to be lazy, drag a big out, force a switch, and let's get to work. There's somebody waiting on that. So like if Garland can play at all, if he's even 80% of himself, I think it's Cavs in 6. Just because I would have said Cavs in 5, but the Pacers won yesterday, so Cavs in 6.
Is there a world where Indiana wins the series?
Yeah, there's a world where any of this stuff can happen. There's a world
where the Knicks sweep the Celtics.
There's not a world where the Knicks win. There's not a world where the Knicks win. I will never get on camera and say the Knicks are going to win anything. There's not a world where the Knicks win, but anybody else for sure. So,
and I'm the hater.
Hey, look,
and I'm the hater.
Me and whoever's going to see this that knows me, y'all know my history with both y'all and the Knicks in general, so y'all know what it is. However, is there a world where the Pacers win? Yes, there's absolutely a world where Garland is not quite himself for the rest of the series. Tyrese Halliburton just does what he does. To me, right now, he's the best decision maker in the league. Right now, as far as when to pass, when to shoot. Look, This man took Giannis to the bucket for the series.
Man, that
last
motherfucker's
series.
7 feet and slow feet. I could get by that motherfucker.
No, you not. You getting that shot? That shot is getting sent to the deepest depths of the earth.
Yeah, nah.
There's
but like you know, Fred VanVleet gonna get that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't worried.
Nah.
Anybody could have got Jalen Brunson gonna get that shit. Jalen Brunson gonna get that shit every time, nigga.
I'm just saying there is a world where sure. Halliburton comes out, has a great series. I think Pascal Siakam is honestly the most underrated player in the NBA right now.
Also, they had the most overrated and the most underrated player on the same team.
Who's overrated?
Tyrese Halliburton.
That is insane.
Didn't they vote him?
Huh?
They voted him the most overrated.
That's just because people don't like him because he's corny.
No. So they had the technical most overrated player, and then
who votes on that? The players?
I think it was his peers. They said it was his peers. Yeah.
Sounds like a bunch of haters.
I mean, them niggas play him.
Jealousy is a real thing.
Jealousy.
You know, this man. You know,
who's jealous of him?
Huh?
Who's jealous of him?
I don't know. Maybe somebody who wanted to be on the on Team USA. I don't know.
Yo,
but it's you know what I mean. Like that's it. You know what I mean. That's an Olympic gold medalist.
Matter if that nigga on that team.
Is this an Olympic gold medalist?
Other options are taking over.
It's an Olympic gold medalist.
Barely play.
You know what I mean? He's one of the best. But again, I think he's the best decision maker in the league right now. You can argue Jokic. Outside of that, I think it's him.
All right. So I was bullshitting. Evan Mobley was 9 for 13. And Ty Jerome was 8 for 20.
And how many points? I mean, how many shots did Donovan Mitchell shoot? 30.
That nigga was 13 for 30.
And that's the problem.
But they played 9 guys yesterday. Should you even be playing 9 guys?
You play whoever you got to play.
Well, they played 9 guys, and the Pacers played 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 fucking players yesterday. Holy shit. Thomas Bryant got 5 minutes for what? Tyrese Halliburton went 22, 13, and he had 3 rebounds.
You don't have to like the way it looks. That's what I'm saying. You don't got to like the way it looks.
2 of 6 from 3, but he was 9 of 15 from the floor. Nembhard, we're not even going to look at that because that's bullshit. That's like 5 of 6. 5 of 6 from 3 and 7 for 10. Like, nigga, that's cooking. Not you.
Hey, but look, that's what the playoffs are about, right? Like, the playoff, like, the teams that advance are the teams. It's not really about. Well, it is. Like I just said it earlier. Like it's about who's the best players. Like who are the dudes, right? Like you know,
like Nesmith, 4, 5, 5
but
8,
yeah,
4, 6. Like
that's what it is. Like every championship team that you can ever point to has had a role player that have just played out of their minds.
That shit not happening tomorrow. I'm sorry. That shit not happening.
Nembhard's a ball player, bro.
Nembhard, Nesmith, like
Nesmith was hitting some.
Nembhard.
That was an outlier game from 3, which is why I'm taking Cleveland still, especially if Garland can come back and be even close to what he's supposed to be.
Mitchell shot bad from 3, but when you look at like 13 or 30, he's 2 shots off of a.
Hey, look, I don't think he had a bad game, and he had to shoot 30 shots last night.
Nah, yeah.
You know, he had to shoot 30 shots, so, like, I'm not saying...
But Ty Jerome shooting 20? Like...
Hey, look, he was in the running for the 6th man of the year. Somebody's got to shoot it if Garland not playing.
And see, like, this is the thing. They want to talk about DeAndre Hunter, but he only 4 of 8 and 1 of 2. Like, that's not good enough. As a perimeter guy in this league, like... It's cool.
That might be... Look, that might be who he is, you know?
Like,
do we want DeAndre Hunter to have 25?
How much of a difference maker that he is like, I thought he was going to be in the starting 5. I think it is wise for them to bring him off the bench. Yeah. But I think it's like, if you run in a closeout lineup, he got to be in that 5. Like, over Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, like, he probably, like, the finishing 5. He may not start the 5, but he got to finish that game.
I don't know. And again, and this honestly feeds into what I was saying. Look at how many options they have to close games. You got Isaac Okoro, you got Max Strus, you got DeAndre Hunter, you have any.
Yeah, but like Isaac Okoro really gonna close a game for you
defensively? Absolutely.
Well,
he might be your best. He might be the best point of attack defender on the team. I think he is.
Yeah, but like I'm just saying, like I can't play him on the floor.
Why not?
Because I got Jarrett Allen already who don't shoot, and Evan Mobley.
Again
shooter
has been shooting well.
I'm really bugging, but everything
he's been shooting. Evan Mobley has been shooting well from 3.
But they played the offense a lot through him this season. You think they should do that now?
What they're doing with Evan Mobley, outside of the 3-point shooting that has been much improved this season, in transition, right? The Pacers are known for their transition offense, but however, Cleveland's right there, and a big part of that is that they're having him almost be like, a discount Giannis, right? Like fast break, they're giving it to him. Evan Mobley is somebody who's very comfortable putting the ball on the floor, especially like on the move, going downhill. So he's a big part of their transition scoring. The Cavs can run too. Both of these teams like to run. This is going to be probably one of the most impressive offensive series that we've seen from both teams. But, Evan Mobley gives them that dimension because it's not just the improved three-pointer, like I said. It's also the fact that I can get a rebound, give it to him, and he could take the break by himself. And he's going to get fouled or he's going to finish or like whatever the case may be. He's good finisher with both hands. He has excellent touch. So, as far as he's concerned, I think that Evan Mobley has the potential to be, he could be the second best player on the championship team. And he's not even the second best player on the Cavs. He's probably third, right? It's going to be like Mitchell and Garland in whatever order you want.
Nah, he's second. I wouldn't put
Who's he better than?
He's better than Garland. I think his ceiling is definitely higher than Darius Garland.
It's debatable.
Nah,
it's a discussion.
His ceiling,
it's a discussion.
No, his ceiling is higher. As a 6'1" guard, your ceiling is not higher than the nigga that is like 6'10" and can play just one defensive player of the year and he has room to grow offense. No, we're not gonna get away with that one. No. He may not be right now, but I'm just saying, like,
it's a real discussion.
As far as ceiling goes, his ceiling is much higher than Darius Garland.
Much higher.
Yeah. Where does Darius Garland fall in point guards? Let's is he okay? He is probably top 10. I was
about to say,
is he top 10? He not top 5. He may not even be top 7.
Let's do the exercise.
All right, Curry, Brunson. See,
I do it.
Curry, Brunson, Shea.
Yeah. Brunson before Shea is crazy.
Yeah, when you just
whatever order, right? Because we're not discussing in the top 3 or 4.
I'm gonna just have
Curry, Shea, Brunson.
I'm gonna just
Halliburton.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah. Oh, you have to
over Garland. Yeah, I can't honestly. I'm not putting Darius Garland over. Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna play with that. No, I like to downplay that nigga, but I can't do that because I don't even believe in Darius Garland like that.
I don't know, because you get to the Halliburton,
actually
Trae Young,
Kyrie Irving,
Kyrie, we're discussing 6. Him as it gets into the later pushing towards 10, where you have to decide is he better than De'Aaron Fox? Is he better than I
like De'Aaron Fox better than him. I ain't gonna hold you.
That's a fair assessment. Fuck that. That's a fair assessment, but it's a discussion though. It's a discussion.
Fox. He break the fucking brakes off that boy.
Yeah, is he better than De'Aaron Fox? It's a different level of speed. Tyrese Maxey.
I think his ceiling's higher than Darius Garland. I don't think he's the playmaker.
I don't know that Tyrese Maxey has done anything. Yeah, I don't know that Tyrese Maxey has done anything to make me sit here and believe that he's. I don't know. We can talk about it, but I don't think he's definitively better than Darius Garland. I'd say Darius Garland is better. And that's not a knock on Tyrese Maxey at all.
Yeah, when you put the resume in there.
But I just, I feel like.
So we drop that back down to 7. I can't even fucking sit in there and put that nigga on there. Is that the timer?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to have to move into the last segment, which is going to be quick. It's getting dark anyway. It's going to be hard to see this shit. All right, because I suck and I botched the ending, I just have to say congratulations to everybody that watched, all right, for nothing, because Jason Tatum is about to win Finals MVP and the Celtics are going back-to-back. Y'all already know what's going on. I know I sound ridiculous wearing this Lakers hat saying that shit, but fuck it. We here. Have a good night.